All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first K-Niche production. Mr. Kirby flipped classroom lesson, and I feel like a bit of applause is worthy. Thank you. Now, the first one that we want to do, we'll be looking at critical issues in business success and failure. This is the last element of the topic, okay, which is business planning. And to get through the slides and in order to actually get everything done, I've taken some notes. I'll be reading from some notes. I'll be giving you some examples. And from there, you can take some notes and we can go from there. All right, so first things first, we will start with our lesson content, okay? It's always important to start with what we want, okay? So planning is about trying to figure out what outcome we want to achieve. So in order for this lesson, I want to achieve, that we know that the importance of management, staffing and teams, identifying and sustaining a competitive advantage. We're looking at smart financial planning and also the use of technology in business and how that can separate you and lead to success and failure. Firstly, okay, we will look at management. Management, as you'll see, it's traditionally described as being concerned with coordinating a business's resources to achieve its goals. So you have to have the right management in there that you know will help you achieve the business goals. It's working with and through other people. So first and foremost, management is a person-orientated part of the business, and you need to be able to use it and figure out what's happening because of the rapidly changing environment that a business operates in. Now, definition in importance. Now, if you look here, management must make the best use of limited resources, okay? And they are responsible for the business achieving its goals. Historically, with businesses, if you have poor management, it will lead to failure, okay? And even from personal experience, I can tell you if you've got bad managers, you will not want to do your best to achieve for that business. Saying that then, a skillful manager, okay, they will solve difficult problems. They will set and help attain important goals. They will develop attitudes and commitment, okay? It's commitment and ownership of, the business itself, okay? So one thing that we could actually have in here as an example is some companies offer shares within a business, okay? And creating a positive business culture through words and actions, especially, just like in the classroom. I'm always trying to create that positive culture to help each other achieve. It helps with the monitoring the business's external and internal environments, and importantly, how to plan and allocate resources. Now, a manager's skill is the most critical factor in determining a business success or failure. Okay, if they don't have the skills, they've got to get them somehow, whether that be through further training or finding the right person. Okay, now, a business, it may have the most up-to-date equipment, it may have well-furnished offices, adequate sources of finance, a group of motivated employees, a good location, but if it doesn't have competent managers, it's not going to make the use of those resources, and in turn, it's not going to achieve business goals. Okay. All right. So, in order to put it into context for you, think of the best coaches and teachers you have had. What has made them special? How did it change your attitude and effort? Because the way that they do things, it will affect you. Now, there's a few examples that I've got up on the screen here. Now, Sir Alex Ferguson, coach or manager of Manchester United for something like 20 years, okay, won pretty much every trophy that was available to Manchester United. Now, it was his, I guess, vision, it was his dedication to achieving that helped over that period of time Manchester United win. Okay, and you can't argue with it was whether it was him or not, because over 20 years the player base changed a lot, but the winning culture never changed. Another one, as you can see here, is Wayne Bennett. Now, he hasn't been as successful in the last 2 years, but before that he was the most successful rugby league coach, and especially if you look at, say, Craig Bellamy now as well, down in Melbourne. Okay, it's that winning culture, and it's the management of the people. Steve Jobs was also someone who was known as a visionary within his field, and he really led from the forefront with his business and with Apple, and that really, got Apple to where it needed to be. Now, the next part is staffing. Okay, staffing is one of the most important factors within a business. If you don't have competent staff, you're not going to have a successful business. You can have the best business idea, but if you don't have the right staff, then it's not going to be achieved. Okay, so saying that, it's essential to have staff that are, I guess, motivated. Okay, it's essential to have staff that want to be there, because the more they want to be there, the more productive they're going to be for you. Now, saying that, you need to plan carefully for staffing for a few things. Now, recruiting. It needs to be decided whether this is going to be an internal thing. So if it's internal, it's done by the existing employees within the business. If not, it can be external. So that's done through recruitment companies, which actually costs more money, but it means you don't have to specialize in it. Selecting. You need to select appropriate skills that fit the business culture. Okay. Sydney Swans. Okay. They've got a no idiot policy whereby anyone that they bring into the club has to fit their code of ethics or morals, I guess their culture, if you want to call it that. They're given mentors. They've got leadership group. Okay. People. It's a culture of winning, but by helping each other, and it's a winning culture, and it's a great culture, and that's why they've been so successful. So how to keep them motivated, training, skill maintenance especially, and advancement. Okay, as a teacher, I have to do professional development. I think it's 50 hours a year, no, 50 hours, yeah, something like 50 hours a year, in order to keep me up to date on what's going on within the field of education, and also, maybe if I've pinpointed that I have a particular weakness in some area, then I can go and actually try and update my skills on that. And then the separation of employees is the last one here. Okay, that'll be a lot of that will be actually, as you can see down the bottom, written into the contract, but the separation of employees is it's one of those main things. So terms of settlement, how much time needs to be given, etc., etc. Staffing is the next one. Now, with staffing, there's a list of possible issues here. Okay, now possible problems include low staff morale, inefficient team structure, low wage levels, inadequate training. Okay, you can see here from the list of possible problems that there's going to be the consequences. Okay, theft within small business, actually within all business, is a major form of revenue loss. Okay, at the end of certain quarters or whatever it might be, there's always a stock take, if that's possible within goods. Staff theft is a huge issue. Loses businesses thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per year, and mainly that comes from employees who are dissatisfied. Okay, you have high absenteeism. For example, in teaching, if there's a teacher absent, it costs the school something like $300 minimum to replace that person for the day. So you can put it into dollars terms. High turnover, which increases the need for training. Okay, you've got to retrain someone. You then got to provide support. It's a very expensive process. So these are just some of the things you might want to get those into your book. Now the next one, competitive advantage. Now I've talked about competitive advantage quite a lot, but I think it's worth going over again. Now, A competitive advantage, as you can see by Investopedia, is an advantage that a firm has over its competitors, allowing it to generate greater sales or margins and or retain more customers than its competition. The key thing in this is it's supposed to be sustainable, so into the future. Now, you can see just from here, there's ways to gain competitive advantage, all right? This one here is differentiation. Okay, there's a green apple among a whole bunch of other red apples, therefore creating a market of its own. All right, so we'll look at a bit of those, what's pertained in competitive advantage. Now, it's linked long-term to business success, competitive advantage. It's up to the business to create a strategy that is going to enable this success. It's trying to get the edge over its competition, okay? That is the main thing. Now, if we look here, the first example of how companies gain a competitive advantage is called the price-cost strategy. It means the business does not just compete with others, but it leads the way by achieving lowest production costs. Okay. Now, examples of this are, it means that he can pass the price on to the consumers. Okay, if there's a lower cost of production, then that saving can be passed on to the consumers, therefore creating a competitive advantage. So, for instance, Nike notoriously has a competitive advantage for a lot of reasons, but one of them is its low-cost labour. They've come under a lot of pressure with that, especially for their sweatshops within Africa and Asia. Henry Ford was the first. Efficiency of operation. He was the first to introduce the factory process, okay, whereby he put his cars into mass production and did it as a streamlined process where people specialised in put in a certain part on a car, okay. It therefore made cars more affordable and it changed the world, all right. And then competitive advantage via technology. Okay, as you know, the Apple suite of products is far ahead of its competition. Okay, and it's taken a long time for others like Samsung to be able to catch up with that one. Now, the second way the business is trying to achieve a competitive advantage is differentiation. It's to offer something to customers that it's not offered by their rivals. Okay, so some examples of this: high product quality, for example, Nespresso. Okay, they've got firstly George Clooney, who is a famous actor. They've got him on the front, and they're differentiated by their ease of the coffee, and it is high quality. And they say, they try and base it in Italy and things like that. Innovative design. This is the smart car you see here. Okay, the smart car was developed for city people because of lack of room, lack of parking, and they created their own niche market because of their designs. Okay, positive brand image. Dick Smith. Okay, he is an Australian. He spruiks that it is all Australian made. He gives back money to charities and to Australian farmers, and he has a very positive brand image that people buy, not necessarily because it's the nicest one out there, but because of they know that it's going to their money's going to a good company who's got higher morals and ethics. Top quality service. I put in here Virgin Australia. They're differentiated by their quality of service on aeroplanes and their brashness when it comes to it. They've got great looking staff, usually females. Okay, they play music when you check in at the lounge. Okay, they've got like a kind of disco going and a scene going. They have a whole bunch of other stuff that separates them from the competition because they're not seen as old, kind of stuck in the past airline. They're new, they're brash. It's almost seen to be cool to be with them, and their quality of service is what separates them. They're very good, they're very nice. Okay, that's the end of part 1. So you'll need to look at part 2 to get the remainder of business success and failure.